The repair bay was silent except for the faint hum of tools. Ryan crouched under a cracked console, his hands covered in oil and wires. He had been alone for hours, fixing the alien ship's power core, when he felt it. A shift in the air, like someone was watching him. Slowly, he pulled himself out from under the panel and looked up. She was standing there. Tall, slim, with skin that shimmered faintly in the dim light, and eyes shaped like a cat's, glowing gold. Her dark hair fell over her shoulders in waves, and the way she moved was silent, almost like she was gliding. Ryan had seen aliens before, but never one like her. She tilted her head slightly, studying him as if he were some strange animal. She took a step closer, her boots making no sound on the metal floor. Ryan felt his heart beat faster. There was no reason to be nervous, but something about her presence made the air feel heavier. She stopped so close he could see the faint pattern of lines across her cheekbones, like marks carved by light. Her lips curved into a faint smile. "A what?" she asked softly. Ryan blinked. "A what?" he repeated, confused. Then she leaned forward, her face close enough that he caught the faint scent of something like wildflowers and metal. Her voice dropped to a low vibration, and she said it. "A grrr!" The sound rolled from her throat in a deep, smooth purr, unlike anything he'd heard from any human. It wasn't just sound, it was something physical. It slid into his ears and down his spine, making every hair on his body stand up. For a split second, he forgot where he was. The look in her eyes while she purred was not friendly, but it wasn't hostile either. It was dangerous. "What was that?" Ryan asked, trying to force a laugh, but it came out weaker than he wanted. Her smile deepened, but she didn't answer. She simply looked at him as if she had just decided something important. Before he could ask again, a sharp alarm screamed through the repair bay. Red lights flashed along the walls. The console behind him buzzed with warning signals in a language he couldn't read. Somewhere deep in the station, metal groaned, and Ryan felt the faint tremor of engines powering up. The alien girl's smile vanished. She glanced toward the exit and then back at him. "They're coming," she said. "Who's coming?" Ryan demanded. Instead of answering, she reached forward and grabbed his wrist. Her grip was strong, too strong for someone her size. "No time," she said. "You're with me now." "What are you talking about?" he started, but she was already pulling him toward the side door. He stumbled after her, almost tripping over a loose cable. The hallway outside was narrow, dimly lit, and filled with the smell of burned metal. They ran past storage crates and inactive drones. Somewhere above, footsteps pounded, multiple sets, heavy and fast. Ryan heard voices shouting in a guttural alien tongue. She moved quickly, glancing around each corner before pulling him forward. Her speed was unnatural, but she never let go of his wrist. They turned a sharp corner, and suddenly she stopped. Ryan almost crashed into her. She pressed her back to the wall and held up a hand for silence. The footsteps were getting louder. Ryan's mind was racing. He didn't know who these people were or why she was running from them. He didn't even know her name. But the purr, that strange grrr, kept echoing in his mind, almost like it was stuck there. The girl leaned close to his ear, her breath warm against his skin. "Stay behind me, no matter what happens." Before he could respond, 3 figures appeared at the end of the hall. They were tall, armored, and carried weapons that looked like a mix of rifles and spears. Their eyes locked on her instantly. One of them barked something in their language. Ryan couldn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. It was an order to stop. Instead, she grabbed his wrist again and pulled him into a side corridor. Ryan's shoulder slammed into the wall as they turned, but she didn't slow down. The shouts behind them grew louder, followed by the metallic clang of boots hitting the floor in pursuit. They burst through another door into a docking bay. A small escape craft sat waiting, its hatch open. She shoved him inside before climbing in after him. Without a word, she slammed the hatch shut and ran to the controls. Ryan stumbled into the co-pilot seat, breathing hard. "Okay, seriously, who the hell are you, and what is going on?" Her fingers flew across the controls, flipping switches and pulling levers. "Later," she said sharply. "If they catch us, you'll find out what a grrr means, but you won't like it." The engines roared to life, shaking the small craft. Outside, the 3 armored figures burst into the bay, raising their weapons. Energy bolts slammed into the hull, making the cabin shudder. She slammed her hand down on a control, and the ship shot forward, lifting off the platform and racing toward the open hangar doors. Ryan was pressed back into his seat, the force of acceleration making it hard to breathe. They cleared the hangar just as another energy blast tore through the air where they had been seconds earlier. The blackness of space opened around them, dotted with stars and the looming shapes of other ships. Ryan gripped the armrest, his pulse still pounding. "You better start explaining." She glanced at him, her golden eyes catching the light. And then, even with the chaos outside, she smiled again. "That purr," she said quietly, "was not for them. It was for you." Ryan stared at her, completely lost. He didn't know if that was a good thing or a very bad thing. The way she looked at him made him feel like it might be both. The small escape craft shook as it sped away from the station. Ryan's hands gripped the sides of his seat while the alien girl's fingers danced over the glowing controls. Outside the window, distant stars streaked into long white lines as they hit faster speeds. His chest still pounded from the chase, and his mind kept returning to the strange purr she had given him. She hadn't spoken since they launched. Her golden eyes stayed fixed on the navigation display. Her jaw tight. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. "Are you going to tell me what just happened?" Her voice was calm, but there was something under it, like she was holding back. "We escaped. That's all you need to know for now." "That's not all I need to know," Ryan said sharply. "Those people were armed. They were after you, and now apparently they're after me too. And what was that thing you said, a grrr? Is that some kind of threat?" She glanced at him from the corner of her eye, but didn't answer right away. Instead, she adjusted a lever, and the craft slid between two massive spinning asteroids. The motion was so smooth that Ryan almost forgot they were still being hunted, until the sensor alarm began to beep. Her head snapped toward the screen. "They're following us." Ryan turned to see 3 small dots moving toward them on the display. "Those same ships?" "Yes," she said, her voice low. "They won't stop." She pushed the throttle forward, and the engines roared louder. The craft swerved sharply, dipping into a dense asteroid field. Huge spinning rocks tumbled past them, some glowing faintly from the heat of nearby suns. Ryan gritted his teeth as the ship skimmed dangerously close to the jagged edges. "You're going to crash us," he muttered. "No," she said with absolute certainty, her hands steady on the controls. "I know this route. They do not." Sure enough, one of the pursuing ships clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. The other 2 tightened their formation. Ryan watched her work and was surprised at how confident she seemed, like every movement was part of a plan. But then he caught her stealing another quick glance at him, as if checking his reaction. "What?" he asked. She looked forward again. "Nothing." "It's not nothing," Ryan said. "You keep looking at me like you're measuring me for something." Her lips pressed together, but this time she answered. "I'm deciding if you can survive what's coming." Ryan blinked. "Survive what? I'm a mechanic, not a soldier." Her eyes stayed on the stars ahead. "In my people's culture, there is a type of male, rare, almost extinct. A fighter, a protector, someone who can stand against danger and not break. My people have been searching for one for years." Ryan frowned. "And you think that's me?" "I don't know yet," she said. "But when I saw you back on the station, when I heard how you stayed calm under pressure, I wondered." Ryan let out a short, humorless laugh. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," she said quietly. The beeping of the sensors grew louder. Another enemy ship had entered the field. Ryan pointed at the display. "Then maybe you can tell me why they're after you." Her tone hardened. "Because I'm not theirs. They want me to be. And now that you're with me, they will want you gone." Ryan sat back, letting her words sink in. He still didn't know if she was dragging him into her trouble on purpose or if he had just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. A sharp jolt shook the craft as an energy bolt grazed their wing. Sparks flew from one of the panels, and warning lights flashed red. She swore in her language, grabbed a wrench from under the seat, and tossed it to him. "Can you fix that stabilizer?" Ryan caught the tool, startled. "While we're flying?" "Yes, or we will both die." He swallowed hard and forced himself into the narrow maintenance crawlspace beside the cockpit. The panel was hot, and a small trail of smoke curled from a fried circuit. He worked quickly, fingers moving over wires and connectors. The vibrations of enemy fire echoed through the hull. "You're good at this," she called out over the noise. I've been doing it my whole life, Ryan said, tightening the last bolt. Try it now. She flipped a switch, and the ship steadied, the alarms fading. She gave him the smallest smile, quick, but it stayed in his mind. The smile disappeared as quickly as it came. We're not safe yet. The ship broke free from the asteroid field into open space. Far ahead, a small green and blue moon floated in the darkness. She pointed toward it. We'll hide there. The forests are dense, and the air is clean. They won't find us easily. Ryan raised an eyebrow. You've done this before, haven't you? Her gaze flickered, but she didn't answer. They entered the moon's atmosphere with a rumble, the hull glowing faintly from the heat. Clouds swallowed them, and then the view cleared to reveal endless jungle, thick green canopies stretching in every direction. She guided the ship down through a narrow gap in the trees, landing in a hidden clearing. The engines powered down, leaving only the sound of chirping alien insects. Ryan stepped out onto the soft, mossy ground. The air was warm and smelled faintly sweet. She followed him, scanning the tree line with sharp, alert eyes. We won't stay long. This is only a place to catch our breath. Ryan looked around. And then what? She glanced at him again, that unreadable expression returning. Then I decide if you can handle the truth. What truth? He asked. She took a slow step toward him, close enough that he could see the faint glow in her golden eyes again. Her voice dropped low, almost like the purr from before. If they catch us, you'll learn what a grrr means, but you won't like it. Ryan felt a chill despite the warmth of the air. The way she said it, he couldn't tell if it was a warning, a promise, or both. The jungle around them was alive with strange sounds. High above, giant leaves swayed gently, even though there was no wind. Somewhere far off, something let out a long, deep howl that made Ryan's skin prickle. He adjusted the strap of the small pack Sarah had given him and followed her through the dense undergrowth. The air was heavy and warm, filled with the scent of damp earth and sweet flowers. Sarah moved ahead like she had lived in these forests her whole life. Her steps were silent, her eyes scanning every shadow. Ryan tried to walk quietly, but every twig under his boots seemed to snap like a gunshot. She stopped once, turning to him with a faint frown. You're too loud, she whispered. Sorry, Ryan muttered. I didn't exactly grow up sneaking through alien jungles. A hint of a smile touched her lips before she turned away again. They moved for nearly an hour, crossing a shallow stream where the water shimmered faintly under the moonlight. Ryan crouched to take a sip, but Sarah grabbed his wrist. Don't, she said. Looks clean. Isn't. She pulled a small container from her belt, filled it with water, and added a drop of glowing liquid before handing it to him. Now you can drink. As they walked, Sarah began pointing out plants, ones with edible roots, others with leaves that could heal cuts, and some to never touch because they could kill in seconds. Her voice was calm and patient, and Ryan found himself watching her more than listening. She had a way of moving that was both graceful and ready for a fight at any moment. That night, they made a small camp under a natural rock arch. Sarah built a fire using dried moss and a few strange sticks that caught flame instantly. Ryan sat close to the warmth, feeling the dampness of the jungle fade from his clothes. Sarah handed him a piece of roasted root. It tasted earthy and slightly sweet, and he realized he hadn't eaten since before the chase began. After they ate, silence settled between them. The fire crackled softly. Ryan studied her in the flickering light. So, he began, are you going to tell me what a grrr actually means? Sarah looked at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Not yet, she said finally. You keep saying that like it's supposed to scare me. Her gaze didn't waver. It should. Ryan leaned back, frustrated. Then maybe you could at least tell me who those people were chasing us. They are hunters, she said simply. They take what they want. They think I belong to them. Ryan frowned. And do you? Her lips curled into the smallest smirk. No, but if they hear me purr again, they will think the bond is sealed. Ryan raised an eyebrow. What bond? She poked the fire with a stick, sending a small shower of sparks into the air. One that cannot be broken. Not without blood. Before Ryan could ask more, a low, mournful cry echoed through the jungle. It was closer than the earlier one, and this time it was joined by another. Sarah stiffened instantly. Her hand went to the blade at her hip. They found us, she whispered. Ryan's pulse quickened. You mean the hunters? No, she said, eyes scanning the darkness. Worse. From the shadows between the trees, glowing eyes began to appear, pairs of them, swaying slightly as they moved closer. Ryan counted at least 6 before he stopped trying. The firelight revealed their shapes. Tall, lean creatures with long limbs and fur that shimmered like wet stone. Their mouths were filled with sharp, hooked teeth, and their tails lashed slowly from side to side. Sarah stood, her body low and ready to move. She glanced at Ryan. "Stay behind me. Do exactly what I say." Ryan pulled the small pistol from his belt, the one he had grabbed from the escape craft before they landed. "I can help." "Your weapon is loud," she said. "If you use it, everything in the forest will know where we are. We need to vanish, not fight." The creatures circled slowly, their eyes locked on the fire and the 2 figures near it. Sarah reached into a pouch and pulled out a small round object that looked like a dark fruit. She threw it into the fire, and instantly the flames turned a deep green, releasing a thick, acrid smoke. The creatures hissed and backed away, their tails whipping faster. "Now," she said sharply, grabbing Ryan's hand and pulling him toward a narrow gap in the rocks. They slipped through, crouching low until the firelight was gone behind them. The sounds of the creatures faded as they moved deeper into the jungle. When they finally stopped, Ryan leaned against a tree, catching his breath. "You weren't kidding about worse." Sarah gave a short nod. "Those are night stalkers. They kill for sport." Ryan shivered. "And you just carry smoke bombs around for them?" She almost smiled. "I carry many things." They walked on in silence until they reached a wide tree with roots so large they formed a natural shelter. Sarah inspected the area carefully before settling down inside. Ryan joined her, grateful for the safety of the thick roots. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting silver patterns on her face. Ryan found himself watching her again. "You really don't want to tell me what that purr meant, do you?" Her golden eyes met his in the dim light. "If you knew, you would not be so calm right now." He gave a half laugh. "You think I scare easy?" Her gaze softened just slightly. "No, that is the problem." Before Ryan could answer, another sound drifted through the forest. Not the howl of predators, but the faint, rhythmic thump of something heavy moving in the distance. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "The hunters are here too," Ryan tensed. "How do you know?" She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Because they travel with machines, and I can smell their metal." The way she said it sent a cold shiver down Ryan's spine. It wasn't just that danger was near. It was that she already knew how it would come. And somewhere deep inside, Ryan had the feeling that when it did, that strange grrr would mean everything. The sound of heavy footsteps and metal clanking grew louder with every passing second. Ryan crouched low behind the thick roots of the giant tree, while Sarah's eyes stayed fixed on the shadows ahead. The rhythmic thump of machines mixed with the soft rustle of leaves, and then 3 tall figures emerged from the darkness. They were heavily armored, their silver plates catching the moonlight, and each carried a long weapon tipped with a glowing blade. Behind them, a 4th figure appeared, massive, broad-shouldered, and moving with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. Sarah's body tensed. Her hand hovered over the hilt of her blade, but she didn't draw it yet. The massive alien male's eyes locked on her instantly. He spoke in a deep, rumbling voice that Ryan couldn't understand, but the tone was unmistakable. It was a challenge. Ryan leaned close and whispered, "What's he saying?" Sarah's jaw tightened. "He's claiming me. According to his people's laws, if no one challenges him, I become his property." Ryan frowned. "And what happens if someone does challenge him?" Her golden eyes flicked to him. "Then they fight. To the death." Before Ryan could think it through, the massive alien stepped forward, his weapon held loosely at his side. He pointed it at Ryan and growled something. Sarah translated in a whisper. "He says you're nothing. He says you should leave before he kills you by accident." Ryan's chest tightened, but it wasn't fear. It was something hotter, sharper. He stepped out from behind the roots before Sarah could stop him. "Tell him," Ryan said, "that I'm not going anywhere." Sarah's eyes widened slightly, but she didn't move to block him. The massive alien laughed, a deep sound that echoed through the trees. He tossed his weapon aside as if it would be insulting to use it, then cracked his knuckles. The other armored hunters stepped back, forming a wide circle in the clearing. Ryan's heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. The alien moved fast, lunging forward with a swing that would have crushed Ryan's ribs if it landed. Ryan ducked under it, using his smaller size to slip to the side. He grabbed a thick branch from the ground and swung it hard at the alien's knee. The wood splintered on impact, but it was enough to make the alien grunt in surprise. The massive male retaliated with a backhand swipe that sent Ryan stumbling, but he managed to roll back onto his feet. He could feel every muscle in his body burning, but he kept moving. He remembered something his old instructor had once told him. Big fighters rely on power. Don't let them use it. So Ryan stayed close, ducking under heavy swings, jabbing at weak points, and using the alien's weight against him. Every time the larger male tried to grab him, Ryan twisted away, forcing him to waste energy. The hunters around them began murmuring, clearly surprised the human was still standing. Then, in the middle of a tense moment, it happened. Sarah's voice cut through the clearing. Not words, but a deep, rolling sound. A purr. The same kind of purr she had given Ryan back on the station, but louder, richer, almost vibrating through the air. It made the massive alien freeze mid-swing. His eyes widened, and he took a small step back, as if the sound had stripped away his confidence. Ryan didn't understand why, but he didn't waste the chance. He rushed forward, slamming his shoulder into the alien's chest and driving him back into a tree. The impact knocked the wind out of him, and before he could recover, Ryan grabbed the alien's own weapon from the ground and leveled it at his throat. The circle of hunters went silent. The massive alien's chest rose and fell heavily, his eyes locked on Sarah rather than Ryan. Slowly, he lowered his head in submission. Ryan stepped back, tossing the weapon to the ground. He turned to Sarah, still catching his breath. What the hell just happened? Why did he back off when you... Sarah cut him off. Not here. Her voice was calm, but there was something in her eyes, a mix of pride and something else he couldn't name. The massive alien picked himself up, muttered something to his companions, and they all began to back away into the forest, leaving Ryan and Sarah alone in the moonlit clearing. Ryan rubbed his sore shoulder. You want to tell me now? Sarah's gaze held his for a long moment before she spoke. When I purr like that in front of others, it means I've chosen. It is a claim and a warning. Anyone who challenges after that risks not only my wrath, but my entire clan's. Ryan blinked. So you're saying you claimed me in front of them? Her lips curved into a small, knowing smile. I'm saying they believe I did. Whether it's true, that is for me to know. Ryan let out a slow breath, still trying to process. And what if I don't want to be claimed? Her eyes sparkled faintly in the moonlight. Then you should have lost the fight. Ryan couldn't help a short laugh, even though his body ached all over. You're impossible. She tilted her head slightly, that dangerous little smile never fading. And now, so are you. As they moved deeper into the jungle again, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. The hunters wouldn't touch him now, not while she was near. But the real question burning in his mind wasn't about them. It was about her. Why had she purred for him at all? Was it just a tactic to win the fight, or was it something more? And if it was more, what exactly had he just gotten himself into? The jungle had grown quiet after the hunters left, but Ryan could still feel the echo of what had happened. His body ached from the fight, and his shirt was torn in 3 places. The soft light of the twin moons slipped through the trees as Sarah led him to a small clearing where a pool of clear water reflected the stars. She knelt near the edge, dipped her hands in, and began to wash her blade. Ryan sat down on a flat stone, watching her. The fight replayed in his head, the moment she purred, the way the massive alien froze, the way the entire battle shifted in an instant. He had never seen anything like it. Finally, he broke the silence. You're going to tell me now. I fought for you. I almost got killed for you, so stop dancing around it and explain. Sarah didn't look at him. Her hands moved slowly over the blade, wiping away dirt and blood. You think you're ready to hear it? I'm not asking for permission. So, Ryan said firmly. Her golden eyes lifted to his. She studied him for a long moment, as if searching for any sign of weakness. Then she set the blade aside. In my culture, she began, females don't choose mates lightly. We are trained from birth to test every male who dares to come near us. Strength is one part of it, but not the most important. A male can be strong and still be useless. We look for those who fight for more than themselves. Ryan frowned slightly. And what does that have to do with? She cut him off with a small, slow purr. Not as loud as before, but enough to make him remember the sound deep in his chest. When a female makes that sound, she said, it is called grussai. In your words, it means mine. Ryan blinked. You mean it's like claiming someone? Yes, she said simply. It's not just a sound, it's a bond. Once it's given, it cannot be taken back. Not without blood. He shifted uncomfortably. So when you did that back at the fight, you were claiming me? Her expression was unreadable. In the eyes of the hunters, yes. To them, you are now under my protection. No one will challenge you unless they want to face me and my clan. Ryan let out a short laugh, but there was no humor in it. Great. So I went from being a mechanic to, what? Your property? Her eyes narrowed slightly. Not property. Chosen. There is a difference. Ryan stood and began pacing. And I didn't get a choice in this? You had a choice, she said calmly. You could have walked away. You could have lost the fight. You didn't. He stopped and looked at her. You're saying this is my fault? I'm saying, she replied, that something in you made me believe you were worth the risk. I do not purr for just anyone. Do you know what would have happened if I had chosen wrong? Ryan shook his head. They would have killed you, and me, slowly, to make an example. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Ryan thought about the massive alien's eyes when the purr had filled the clearing. That fear hadn't been for him. It had been for her, for what her choice meant. Why me? He asked finally, his voice softer. She picked up her blade again, turning it in her hands. Because you didn't run. From the moment you saw me, you stood your ground. Even when you didn't understand what was happening, you still fought. Most males freeze, or they try to bargain. You just acted. Ryan rubbed the back of his neck. So this grussai, what does it mean for us? Sarah's eyes met his again, and this time there was no teasing, no smirk, only seriousness. It means our lives are tied together. Where I go, you go. If you are attacked, I fight. If I am attacked, you fight. And if anyone challenges the bond, we face them together. Ryan sat back down slowly. That's a lot. It is, she agreed. And that is why I didn't tell you before. Once you know, there is no turning away from it. He stared into the water for a while, the reflection of the stars breaking on the surface. And what if I can't live up to your expectations? Her voice softened. Then you die. And so do I. That is why I test you. Ryan looked at her sharply. So all of this, running through the jungle, fighting those hunters, this was you testing me? Yes, she said without hesitation. And you have not failed yet. He gave a half smile. Not yet? A faint smile curved her lips. We will see. Ryan lay back on the stone, staring up at the moons. You know, he said quietly, you could have just asked me if I was willing to help you. I might have said yes. Sarah tilted her head, watching him. And then I would not know if you meant it. Words are easy. Survival is not. The sound of the forest returned around them, soft rustles, distant calls, the hum of unseen insects. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of what she had said settle in his chest. He wasn't sure if he was ready for this bond, but part of him knew there was no going back now. Sarah stood, brushing off her hands. We rest here tonight. Tomorrow, the real journey begins. Ryan sat up. And where exactly are we going? To my clan, she said simply. They must see you. They must judge you. Judge me for what? Her eyes glimmered faintly in the moonlight. For whether I was right to purr for you. Ryan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Whatever this grussai really meant, it was bigger than he had thought. And tomorrow, he would find out just how far her choice had tied his fate to hers. The jungle began to thin as they walked the next day, replaced by open ground scattered with tall, sharp rocks. The air was cooler here, the wind carrying a faint metallic scent. In the distance, Ryan could see strange stone towers rising from the ground, shaped almost like the spines of a giant creature. Sarah moved with steady purpose, her golden eyes fixed ahead. She didn't speak much, and Ryan didn't push her. He knew they were getting close to her people, and he could feel the tension in the air. By midday, they reached a wide plain where several alien structures stood in a rough circle. They were made of black stone, each carved with symbols Ryan couldn't read. In the center was an open space, like an arena, surrounded by tall poles decorated with banners that flapped in the wind. A group of aliens stood there waiting. Tall, strong-looking, wearing light armor and carrying weapons. Sarah slowed as they approached. Stay close to me, she said quietly. Ryan scanned the faces of the aliens. Some looked curious, others openly hostile. One older female stepped forward. Her presence was commanding, her hair braided with strips of silver metal. She and Sarah exchanged a few words in their language, the tone sharp but controlled. Then the older female's eyes turned to Ryan, studying him as if she could see straight through his skin. Sarah turned to him. "This is Elder Vasha. She will decide if you are worthy of the claim." Ryan frowned. "And if she decides I'm not?" "Then the bond is broken," Sarah said, her voice low, "and you die." Ryan stared at her, but before he could respond, the elder spoke again. Sarah translated. "There is a trial. If you survive it, you are accepted. If you fail, your blood feeds the ground." Two younger warriors stepped forward, motioning for Ryan to follow. Sarah caught his arm before he moved. "Listen to me. The trial will test more than strength. You will face beasts in the arena, but it is not about killing them. It is about surviving them. Use your mind as much as your body." Ryan gave a short nod. "Got it." The warriors led him to the far side of the arena, where a gate stood closed. The metal bars were covered in claw marks, some deep enough to make Ryan's stomach tighten. Inside, he could hear low growls and heavy breathing. One of the warriors handed him a spear, long, sharp, and heavier than it looked. The elder's voice rang out across the arena, and the crowd began to gather around the edges. Sarah stood at the front, her eyes locked on Ryan. The gate creaked open. A massive creature stepped out, its body covered in thick black fur, its four legs ending in hooked claws. Its eyes glowed a deep red, and saliva dripped from its long, curved fangs. Ryan tightened his grip on the spear. The beast circled slowly at first, testing him. Ryan kept his stance low, remembering Sarah's advice. When it lunged, he sidestepped quickly, using the spear to push it away rather than strike. The crowd murmured. The beast turned and attacked again, faster this time. Ryan rolled under its swipe, the claws missing his head by inches. Sweat dripped down his face. He couldn't keep dodging forever. He needed a plan. His eyes scanned the arena floor. The ground was uneven, with patches of loose rock. An idea formed. He baited the beast into charging, stepping back toward one of the unstable patches. At the last moment, he dove aside. The beast's weight hit the loose ground, and its front legs sank just enough to throw it off balance. Ryan didn't waste the chance. He drove the spear into the dirt beside its head, pinning it for just a moment before backing away. The creature roared, pulling itself free, but it didn't attack right away. It paced, growling, uncertain now. The elder said something in a sharp tone, and the gate opened again. Ryan's stomach dropped as a second beast entered, smaller, but faster, its eyes the same glowing red. They began circling him together. Ryan's muscles burned, but he forced himself to focus. When the smaller one lunged, he shifted sideways, making it collide with the larger beast. They snapped at each other in frustration, giving him a moment to catch his breath. The crowd grew louder, some shouting in their language. Sarah didn't move, but Ryan could see her hands clenched tightly at her sides. The beasts attacked together this time. Ryan dropped to the ground, rolling between them, and drove the butt of the spear into the larger one's hind leg. It stumbled, and the smaller one leapt onto its back, snarling. They fought each other instead of him, and Ryan stepped back, breathing hard. After a long moment, the elder raised her hand. The beasts froze, almost as if they had been trained. They backed away toward the gate, which closed behind them with a heavy thud. The arena fell silent. Ryan stood there, chest heaving, sweat running down his back. The elder spoke, her voice carrying across the space. Sarah stepped forward, translating loudly enough for everyone to hear. "The trial is complete. You have survived. You are accepted." A mix of cheers and grumbles rose from the crowd. Sarah walked to him, her expression unreadable at first. Then she let a small smile touch her lips. "You did well." Ryan gave a tired laugh. "I almost got eaten." "But you didn't," she said simply. "You think fast. That is worth more than raw strength." As they left the arena, Ryan noticed some of the warriors nodding to him with respect, while others still looked at him like an outsider. He knew earning their full trust would take more than surviving one fight. When they reached a quieter place, Sarah stopped and looked at him closely. "Before the trial, I told you the Purr was a claim. Now it is more. The clan has seen you fight. They have accepted the bond." Ryan rubbed his sore arm. "And what exactly does that mean for me?" It means, she said softly, that you are no longer just a man who helped me escape. You are mine, and I am yours. Her words hung between them, heavy and certain. Ryan didn't know if he was ready for everything that came with that. But one thing was clear. There was no turning back now. The camp was quiet that night, lit by the soft glow of fires scattered between the black stone shelters. The trial was over, and the clan had accepted Ryan, but he could still feel the weight of curious stares following him whenever he moved. Some eyes held respect, others suspicion, but no one dared approach him directly. Not after what Sarah had done in the arena. He sat near one of the smaller fires, turning a cup of steaming liquid in his hands. It smelled strange, spicy and sweet at the same time. Across the fire, Sarah was sharpening her blade with slow, deliberate strokes, her golden eyes glinting in the firelight. She hadn't said much since the trial, and the silence between them was starting to feel heavy. Ryan finally broke it. So this is it? I passed, they accepted me, and now I'm just supposed to live here? Sarah didn't look up. Not exactly. Passing the trial means you are no longer an outsider. But bonds are more than a rule. They are lived. Ryan frowned. And what does that mean for me? For us? Her hands paused over the blade. She lifted her eyes to his, and for the first time, there was no guarded expression, no careful mask. It means you are part of me now. In my people's eyes, there is no separation. Where I go, you go. My fights are your fights. My victories are your victories. My enemies, her voice dropped lower, are your enemies. Ryan leaned back, letting her words sink in. You make it sound like a war's coming. Sarah's gaze didn't waver. Because it is. The hunters won't stop. They left because of the bond, but bonds can be challenged, and they will challenge it. The only question is when. Ryan set his cup down. So this Grusha is claiming it wasn't just to scare them off back at the fight? Her lips curved into a faint, knowing smile. No. It was because I wanted to see if you could stand in my world. You did, and now there is no undoing it. Ryan gave a dry laugh. Lucky me. She tilted her head slightly. You don't sound pleased. It's not that, he said. It's just my life used to be simple. Fix ships, get paid, move on. Now I'm bonded to an alien warrior in a clan that barely knows me, with enemies that want me dead. Kind of a big jump. Sarah's expression softened just a fraction. Life does not ask if you are ready. It simply begins. Before Ryan could answer, the sound of footsteps approached. An older male warrior stopped a few paces away, bowing his head briefly to Sarah before addressing her in their language. She listened, her expression hardening, then rose to her feet. She looked down at Ryan. They want to see us. Who's they? He asked, standing. The council, she said, and you will speak for both of us. The council chamber was an open circular space inside one of the largest black stone structures. Torches burned along the walls, casting shifting shadows across the carved symbols. 7 figures sat in a half circle, each wearing armor marked with different patterns. Their eyes followed Ryan as he stepped in beside Sarah. The elder from before, Vasha, spoke first. Sarah translated. They welcome you, but they also question you. They want to know if you are prepared to defend the bond, not just in trials, but in life. Ryan hesitated, then said, Tell them I didn't come this far to back out now. Sarah relayed his words, and a few of the council members nodded. One of them, a broad-shouldered male with scars across his face, leaned forward and spoke in a low growl. Sarah's expression tightened as she translated. He says there is one more way to prove yourself. A journey through the old war grounds. Dangerous. But if you return, no one will question you again. Ryan met her eyes. And if I don't return? Her gaze was steady. Then the bond is broken, and I am shamed. For a long moment, Ryan didn't speak. Then he nodded. Fine, I'll do it. The council dismissed them, and they left the chamber together. The night air felt cooler, sharper. Ryan glanced at Sarah. You knew they were going to push for more, didn't you? I suspected, she admitted. The clan is proud. They don't accept outsiders easily, even if the bond says they must. Ryan let out a slow breath. Then I guess I'd better survive this journey. She stopped walking and faced him. You will, because I will be with you. He raised an eyebrow. I thought this was my test. It is, she said, but the bond means I face it too. We do not walk alone anymore. They set out at dawn, the jungle fading behind them as they moved toward the jagged hills on the horizon. The path was rough, the ground littered with fragments of broken weapons and armor from battles long past. The air was dry and still, as if even the wind avoided this place. They traveled in silence for hours until they reached a ridge overlooking a wide valley. In the center lay the remains of an ancient battlefield, rusted machines half buried in the dirt, and dark stains on the stones that had never faded. "This is where we begin," Sarah said. Ryan scanned the valley. "You sure this place is safe?" Her eyes flicked to him, and a faint smile touched her lips. "It isn't." They descended into the valley, weaving between twisted metal and shattered stone. Every step felt heavier, the silence pressing in on them. Then, from somewhere ahead, a low rumble broke the stillness. Sarah's hand went to her blade. "We are not alone." Shapes moved in the shadows, figures with long limbs, jagged armor, and eyes that glowed faintly red. Ryan's grip tightened on his weapon. "How many?" he asked. "Enough to make this interesting," she said, her voice almost amused. The figures stepped into the light, surrounding them in a loose circle. Ryan and Sarah moved back to back, their weapons ready. The air between them felt charged, not with fear, but with something sharper, like the unspoken understanding that they were in this together, no matter what came. The first enemy lunged, and the fight began. Ryan's body moved on instinct, every lesson, every fight before this moment pushing him forward. Beside him, Sarah fought with a fierce grace, her movements almost a dance. When the last enemy fell, the two of them stood alone in the silent valley, their breathing heavy. Sarah looked at him, her lips curling into that dangerous little smile. "You fought well," she said. Ryan smirked. Guess the bond wasn't a mistake after all. She stepped closer, her golden eyes locking on his. "No," she said softly, "it wasn't." And for the first time, Ryan felt that the purr she had given him in the beginning wasn't just a test or a warning. It was a promise, one he was ready to keep.